what's going on, Commanders? UltimatDJz here with a teaching trick video. Welcome into Arcfall May 2024 Gorn Part 2. Introducing a new ship, new officers, a new very, very cool ability, and maybe one of the most player-centric, or at least player feedback arcs that we've gotten in quite some time when it comes to how we want an arc built. My name is UltimatDJz, inviting you in. Strap in. We've got Arcfall in a condensed, quick, action-packed format. Let's get started. First, officers, like we always do. The epic this month is Epic James T. Kirk from Strange New Worlds. His captain's maneuver is decreasing hostile shield mitigation. It's 40%, I believe, at base, but with synergy, you can actually, and you gotta remember, if synergizes with all of the Strange New Worlds crew, this will get up to 100% shield mitigation. All right, very nice if you got plenty of shield. Officer ability is increasing base weapons damage versus hostiles. Now, I would ordinarily joke about base weapon damage being kind of silly. These numbers are certainly decent. However, they are also designed to substantially increase the amount of isolytic damage that they will be throwing. How can I make that claim? Well, I'm going to explain to you here momentarily why I am making that claim, because I do believe that Epic James T. Kirk Strange New Worlds Edition is going to be a great captain for the new Gorn Eviscerator ship, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, and I'll explain why here in just a moment. Your rare officer this month is Pelia, Chief Engineer Pelia. Her officer ability is increasing isolytic hostile damage, increasing isolytic damage against hostiles. All right. Yes. Actually, I think, no, it's backwards. It's decreasing. What the hell? Griffin, you're going to have to give me a cut there. Oh, what? What does the note say? Griffin, just put up a text. Just put up a text on the screen. She's doing something to isolytic hostile. Isolytic against hostile. I'm struggling. Her below deck ability is increasing isolytic defense game-wide, whether that's PvE, that is PvP. That's right. Isolytic defense across the game. That's a below deck ability. Very, very nice actually to add in more and more of that. As we were talking last night, there is another form of isolytic defense that is coming this month in a new artifact source exclusively by the Gor Eviscerator. So we're going to talk about that. As a matter of fact, we could go ahead and get into that. Those are your officers. More on sourcing coming up a little bit. Let's talk about the ship. We spent a lot of time on this last night. The new Gorn Eviscerator with a number of abilities. A new refinery, a new currency, a new loot bonus, and the ability to basically disco summon your entire alliance. It's called a Spatial Rip. This is a 15-tier ship starting at Ops 40 and topping out at Ops 65. This Spatial Rip will allow players to create a temporary one-way portal to the system that their Eviscerator is in. So in other words, you get the Eviscerator there, you can open a rip, and then your alliance mates can travel through that rip and get to your system. Long gone now are the days of people sending Voyagers to your armadas. Now they'll actually be able to send those warships. Still maybe dying because they're, obviously punching higher than what they're supposed to be, but they're going to be able to get up there with a ship and not just necessarily a Mantis or a Voyager. Or an amalgam, per se. So this rip will allow players to travel through and travel to any system that has been warp unlocked. All right. Now, what that means is, for example, Ops 37 can't get into G4 space because, right, at Ops 38, that mission comes and it unlocks the token. You know what I'm talking about? The red line with the little lock symbol? That means that warp is actually locked, not by warp range, but by access. All right. So Ops 38, once completing that mission, will be able to access all of G4 space. There is no lock on G5 space. So imagine being an Ops 38 who could go all the way up to a level 50 system. That can happen. All right. G5 systems, actually, so not level 50, level 60 system, because you can get all the way through G5 space. G5 does not have a lock. G6 does. So I would not be able to go all the way up to G6 space, but I could literally Spatial Rip an Ops 38 all the way up to a level 60 system. That can happen once they unlock level 38 space and be able to get into deep space there, okay? So that is how it works. If you travel to a system where you can't warp out of, that's all right. Every single time you travel through the spatial rip, you will be given one free instant recall token. That is regardless of warp range. So if you get trapped in a system, well, in other words, you won't be trapped. If you get ripped to a system where you can't leave because of warp range, you'll be able to use that instant recall token and go home. All right. So you, of course, could also use this to relocate your base and even rip a disco so that you could summon up other ships, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. It only requires the Eviscerator to be in the destination system, and then you can open up a rip, and other alliances or other alliance mates, rather, will be able to travel through your rip and pop out into the system where you are. The number of ships that you can transport will increase with the tier of the Eviscerator, as will the amount of time that the spatial rip is open. All right. Once it is open, and that, by the way, will start. I think we've actually got a chart on that. We have a chart on that, Griffin? I believe we do. Let's pop it up. There you go. There's the chart on how this thing is actually going to scale as far as the time, and of course, still to be determined the number of alliance ships. What I can tell you is I think I've got a guess on this. See, tier 1 is going to be 5 ships. 5 ships can travel through your spatial rip, and it tops out at 20 ships at tier 15. So if I had to guess, it's going to basically be 1 ship per level. Tier 1 will be 5. Maybe tier 2 is also 5. But then starting 3, 4, 5, maybe it goes up by 1 ship, where it'll get to 20 ships by the time you get to tier 15. The other thing that I want to point out is the ship's passive abilities. Isolytic damage, look at that. That is a passive ability called the Hunters. It is increasing your isolytic damage against the Gorn hostiles, okay? So this is going to increase the amount of damage that you're putting out with the Eviscerator against Gorn Hunters. And then, of course, there's a loot bonus for the Apex loot, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So for those of you who have been struggling against the Gorn, this ship is going to give you a big old punch in the isolytic damage. Now, we were talking just a moment ago about Strange New Worlds' James T. Kirk, that is going to be coming out this month, and how his officer ability is increasing base damage. Well, I would ordinarily kind of chuckle at that. However, they are not small numbers. They're several thousand% as you tier him up. However, what happens to isolytic damage as you increase base damage? Well, that's right. Isolytic damage is, in fact, a direct result of how much base damage you throw. So by increasing the amount of base damage, you're also increasing the amount of isolytic, and you can see a huge percentage multiplier to isolytic damage here. It's absolutely massive. That Apex loot bonus is going to allow you to pick up extra loot of the new loot this month that's being added to the Gorn hostile. So not the volatile isomatter like from last month. That's going to be normal. But this new Apex isomatter, the Apex isomatter is going to be used in the new Gorn refinery, where you'll be able to pull parts, officer shards, ship parts, and new artifact shards. We're going to talk all about that loop in just a second, but it is going to give you a loot bonus on the Apex isomatter that is allowing you to use the new Eviscerator refinery. So as we were talking just a moment ago, with that refinery, there's going to be some things in here that you're going to have an option to be able to pull, and those are ship parts, right? G4 ship parts we talked about earlier today. G4 ship parts all the way up to tier 6 of this ship, all right? So I do expect a Voyager-style tier break here. So G4 ships up to tier 6 on the Eviscerator. Tier 7 plus is going to offer G5. And then if you are tier 7 plus and Op 61 plus, then it will add G6 to your G5. I do expect G5 to replace G4. The amount of parts you get is not random. It is fixed to the ship tier. So the higher you tier the ship, the more ship parts that you are going to get. You are also going to have the option to pull out of the Eviscerator refinery, where you'll get Apex recruits. These recruit tokens will be used for shards of all of the Strange New Worlds officers from last month and this month, including day one sourcing on Strange New Worlds, James T. Kirk, and Pelia, as well as Nurse Chapel, Mbenga, and Epic Sam Kirk. Those officers from last month are going to be available in this refinery as well. You will also be able to use your Eviscerator refinery to pull the Cephalocask artifact. This is a new artifact that is exclusive to this loop. I am told it will not be sold or sourced in any other way.
Right.
And it is a PvP isolytic defense buff, so very much like Pelia, but now also offering a buff through the artifacts in PvP isolytic defense. It'll start out at 30% and max out at 200% when you get this artifact maxed at level 20. All right. The Apex Isomatter will also be used to exchange for Gorn Eviscerator parts for the ship, and those same parts will be also used for Gorn Eviscerator research. This is going to be kind of like the export credits, where you're using the export credits not only for research but also to tier up the NX-01. This is going to be the same thing. The Eviscerator parts for the ship will also feed the research. Okay, that is the Gorn Eviscerator and its associated loop. There will be, of course, a lot more to come on the spatial rip technology. We'll talk to you a little bit about that coming up later, hopefully maybe later on today and a stream later tonight. For some of you G6 players, there is an extra little source of Sigma coming in a Monavine refit. This will now start allow Sigma materials to come out of your Queen's favors with the Monavine and the Texas class hostiles now being able to pull Sigma resources out of the Monavine refinery. There will be new primes this month, including research cost efficiency. This research cost efficiency is actually, crazy enough, not that bad. It is a 2-tier prime, and it includes both materials and resources. Tier 1 is 200% increase to efficiency. Tier 2 is 450% on both material and resource efficiency for G3 through G5 research. There will be a new prime for that's called Wartime Morale. This will increase isolytic damage by 20% when your ship has morale. I would expect probably others to come out in the future that might do something here, but morale getting the first jump in isolytic damage. That is a prime research, increasing isolytic damage by 20% if your ship has morale. There will be Tier 6 and Tier 7 added to the FKR rep primes, and there will be a temporal disruptor drip increase prime as well that will increase the amount of temporal disruptors you get by 300%. Those are your primes that are coming this month. There's a lot more that we can talk about and get into, plus a ton of data analytics. Blue and Jules are already going absolutely crazy with the spreadsheets. We're going to talk about the cost of the ship. We're going to talk about the rewards from the refinery bundles. We're going to talk about the new Eviscerator refinery in and of itself with the officer shards. We're going to talk about all these things coming up throughout the month, but that is going to do us for right here and now. My name is UltimatDJz. Thank you so very much for tuning into this episode of Teaching Trek, the Arcfall episode, as we head into April, or head into May rather, with so much more to come. You guys don't miss any of our content. Please subscribe while you're here. Click on the bell so you know when we post more videos, and be sure to catch our live schedule on Twitch coming up later tonight on Tuesday, the podcast recording on Thursday, and some extra stuff going on this weekend for you, plus more YouTube stuff from Star Trek The Cruise that will be coming out this month as well. My name is UltimatDJz for Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast and the Teaching Trek YouTube channel. I'm saying meow for now. Love you, minute. Catch you on the next one. You guys behave yourselves now. All right? Meow.